Welcome back to an episode of the Scoop College Basketball Podcast. We have not podcasted in a while, but got one in right before the new year. Maybe like ending the year on a good note, starting off the year with a good note, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a sign for 2025 that we can actually get some consistent podcasts out. But
Yes,
a, g-
that
a
that
good t a good time to kind of recap and look forward.
yes, that would be ideal, but non-conference games are closing out now. I think by the new year, which is in 2 days at this point, it'll be pretty much all conference games from here on out. I know there might be like one conference that does like a challenge week in like sometime in the middle of January or February, but for
Yeah,
the
my
most part, yes,
Duke Illinois is like a game I think later on might be February, late
yes.
January.
Yes, I don't know if that's part of the challenge or individual, maybe, but I don't know. We will see when we get around to that. But yes, conference play is on the horizon, so we will touch on the our conference predictions, kind of who we think is going to win, kind of right heading into conference play. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. But before that, some notable news in terms of eligibility, that type of stuff happened within college basketball with Diego Pavia, a Vanderbilt quarterback, sued the NCAA for because he wasn't able to make money in JUCO. It was kind of confusing. I don't really think I don't know. He got it accepted though.
Yeah,
So
he got what he wanted out of it, so he'll be back at Vanderbilt. But
yes.
definitely interesting.
But yeah, that's college football stuff. But the NCAA, they made that same waiver applied every sport in college, and the criteria is that people who are exhausting their eligibility this year, as in college basketball terms, after March Madness, after the season concludes, they would be out of eligibility, would have to go pro or stop playing basketball. And yeah, the people that spent time a year or more at a non-NCAA school, so JUCO mostly, but also plays some NAIA guys. Um, so yeah, this is only for next year. The NCAA has filed an appeal to stop it from going forth in pre future years, but this is pretty significant.
Yeah, it's kind of like a quick fix right now, but the implications are going to be pretty big, at least for next year, because I don't know, especially the coaches. You're gonna have guys that you weren't planning to have back, and now you've got another year of them. So
Yes, some teams in particular have a handful of guys, but yes, there are some pretty impactful guys that could make their way back into college basketball. We sure we see a lot of those guys enter the portal as they were not planning to come back. A lot of them could stay and boost their team's chances next year. But just reading through some of the guys, Chad Baker Mazara for Auburn, Day Thomas, Cincinnati point guard, Elijah Malone, and Ben Humerkow, two guys who played at the NAI level. Yaxel Lenneborg and like all of UAB's team pretty much. Obi Agbim for Wyoming started at JUCO level, really been balling out for the Cowboys this year. Michael Jai for Gonzaga, DeMarco Minor, Oregon State point guard. Even Tyon Grant Foster could come back another year.
yeah, that's a crazy one. He hasn't had a great start to the year,
There's no way he
obviously,
comes
but
back, but he might have to. I don't know what pro teams are singing him right now at least, but yeah. On our website sometime in the near future, Hoops Media, we will have a list of every single D1 player that can come back next year. That is in progress by me, almost done. So if you're listening to this podcast, it might be out. It'll probably be out by the end of the day that we're recording this. So stay on the look for that. I think I got everyone right, but yeah. Enough talk about that though. Let's get into actual basketball, starting with the SEC, which is a crazy conference.
yeah, I mean, the best conference I'm pretty sure Ken Palm has seen of all time. I think that's where the stats have it right now, or like top
Maybe.
three.
I know there was some like really good ACCs in like the early 2000s,
Oh yeah, when
I
they
don't
had
know
like
if
nine teams or something. Yeah.
yeah, and they were like all like good enough, but yes, especially with as big as a conference is, harder to be better with as many teams, but that is just what the SEC is doing. South Carolina, the worst team according to Ken Palm. They are 63rd. They're not even that bad of a team. So, and this is a 16 team league, which is pretty insane. So,
Yeah, I mean, and the top of it, Auburn. That's a team where the Ken Palm record books are being rewritten, especially offensively.
yes.
Um, I guess I can start there. Auburn's my projected winner. I think it's hard to go against them right now. I believe they're projected to win every game, or favored to win every game. Not projected,
Yes,
I guess,
they
but
are my winner as well. And yes, they are favored to win every game. SEC is tough. Like they could easily not win the conference, but they have been clearly far and away the best team in college basketball so far this season. Who cares what the voters and the A people think? They probably don't even watch Auburn play. So
yeah, I don't know. We could make a whole podcast on what the AP poll does wrong or does bad for college basketball, but a slightly
yes,
different topic than today. Yeah, Janai Brum, obviously the guy right now. As long as he stays healthy, yeah, that minor shoulder injury, but as long as he stays healthy, should be the National Player of the Year. And then I think the most important part about this team has been the other guys stepping up. Tahad Pettiford coming in as a freshman, Chaney Johnson a big jump, and then Miles Kelly uh, has been pretty important transferring from Georgia Tech.
yes, and guys like Chad Baker Mazara, Denver Jones just have been getting better. Dylan Cardwell kind of inserted him to starting lineup this year, going with a different look. He's been really impactful, can play without the ball, which really helps some of the other guys. And yeah, even with JP McGee's doing nothing, I feel like that was the reason you really liked him preseason.
Yeah, JP Pegues was like half the reason I bought into them, and like I was still like a little ways away from putting them above Alabama, and now basically everybody else has turned out. Like I remember being big on Denver Jones too as well, but yeah, I don't. Maybe there's a way JP Pegues like starts to figure things out, but I don't even think he needs to at this point. He's like
Yeah.
the tenth guy, so yeah.
Yes. They have been completely dominant, but we will get into more categories than just a winner at a conference. We will touch on a sleeper to win, maybe a team not projected by everyone to win that could sneak into the conference tournament with a one seed, an overachiever in conference play, and an underachiever in conference play. So who is your sleeper to win the SEC?
I so for my sleeper to win, like most of these leagues, you could probably debate the sleeper, but I think in the SEC I actually have a real sleeper I think could win, and that's Texas A&M. They have a favorable schedule when you consider everything that the SEC looks like, and then just super experienced, very elite defensively. I think they should win basically every game at home. I forget if Auburn comes to town, but
They do.
yeah, maybe that's your one drop off, but I don't know. I really like that team. They've looked good and they've gotten better and better. I think they've won 7 straight now. Good momentum heading into conference play.
Yes, playing very good right now. My sleeper to win, I had Florida, which like how much of a sleeper really is a top 10 Ken Palm team, but I feel like they have not been getting as much talk as maybe the teams around them, such as Tennessee, Alabama. Part of that, they haven't played as grueling of a non-conference schedule, but they've passed every test so far. Really good on both ends. And yeah, they'll have some tests right away in conference play at Kentucky, Tennessee at home, first two games, so those games will be very telling. But definitely bring it on both ends. Could see them winning if Auburn somehow drops a few games.
Yeah, I mean Florida's definitely had a great start, undefeated, but yeah, you talked about the schedule not being kind of on par with those other 3 teams at the top, so I'll talk about Florida in a little bit, I guess. But my
Yes.
overachiever in the league, I went with Georgia. That's another team who hasn't had the most on their plate in non-conference. beat St. John's, lost to Marquette, both those games in the Bahamas. But I think they're still under the radar, even in a very hyped up SEC. They just got Shane Montgomery back from injury, transfer in from Mount St. Mary's. He's played 3 games, I think scored
He has
15 or
been
higher
really
in all
good.
three. Yeah.
He has
So I
been
think
really
that's
good.
that's a big piece for them. And kind of somebody that wasn't really factored in until just about a week or two ago. So that's the angle I'm taking.
Yes, he's been amazing. Austin Newell has been one of the best freshmen in the country, really even outperformed expectations, even though he was a 5-star. But my overachiever in conference play is going to be Vanderbilt, year one of the Mark Byington era. Another team that hasn't faced a ton of stiff competition in non-con play, but I really like how this team is built. Jason Edwards can be the number one scorer on any team in the country. He can score the ball, big time, efficient volume score so far this year. AJ Hogarth, he's a good facilitator next to him. Kind of evens out Edwards being a little bit of a smaller non-point guard, but their forwards have been good. Devin McLaughlin has been really good this year. And yeah, I think this is a team that's kind of sneaking under the radar. If the season ended now, they'd probably be a tournament team. Um, but
Yeah,
they're gonna have to. It's gonna be tough because the SEC has no free wins. But I think Vanderbilt can surprise some people.
yeah, they had the sneaky good win, I would say, over Nevada. Nevada hasn't really been
Nevada kind of yeah,
what
that
they
win has
what
not
they've
turned out
supposed to
great.
been yet, but I don't know. And you talked about Jason Edwards. He's came up big in the biggest game so far. 26 in the loss at Drake or against Drake in the Charleston Classic, and then 30 in the win against TCU. So hopefully a sign to come when he's playing against other high level teams in conference play.
Yes, he
And
he can absolutely get buckets. But
and then
yes.
moving on to my underachiever, that's where I put Florida. Bit hesitant. Um, Played 11 of their 13 games in the state of Florida so far. I mean, you don't have to travel too far in the SEC. It's not like the Big Ten or the ACC coast to coast, but that's something I'm just a little hesitant about them on. Guards are very good. Walter Clayton, Will Richard, Elijah Martin. I do really like the team, but I think I I wouldn't say they've been too hyped up because, like you said, they're relatively untalked about for a top 10 team. But I think this team finishes more like fifth or sixth rather than in that top four alongside Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee.
Yes. Yeah, definitely a team that has not gotten to tests as such as Alabama, who routinely plays a loaded non-conference schedule. Um, Tennessee is, I mean, they've looked really good, as is Florida. But yes, could definitely potentially see it as they play. They're going to play some elite teams every night, but yes,
Yeah, and you talked about that opening schedule too, maybe getting off on the wrong foot
yes,
at Kentucky
that'll
and
be
then hosting
huge.
Tennessee.
That'll be huge. Even after that, going to Arkansas, not going to be an easy game at all either. But my underachiever, is Texas. Not really too much of a surprise for me, considering I'm not a huge Rodney Terry guy. We'll see if he makes it this next season because I don't know if he will, honestly. But I think they could really fall. They haven't really beat anyone yet of huge note. They lost to two good teams they played. They have some really good players. Trey Johnson's been amazing as a freshman. Arthur Kaluma's been good this year so far. Like Jordan Pope is good, but I'm not sure I
If
trust the efficiency for those guys to keep up. I don't trust the coaching. I just think this team might get left behind in such a great conference.
Yeah, and you're going to match up with a lot of elite defenses in the conference as well, and then other teams like Alabama who will just outscore you on that end of the floor.
Yes.
But I can definitely see the Texas pick, and I would say if they're the team that kind of falls in the SEC, that Rodney Terry would be gone. But
Yes, he's gonna have to do something to get. to get to next year, which I mean he's been fine, but this is going to be a huge deciding year with the conference. As good as it is, and with Texas, much money, resources, everything that they have, believe his buyout and stuff is probably relatively small. Don't know the exact numbers, but we'd have to assume it would not take much from the donors to get him out of there. Moving to the Big Ten, though, the SEC has gotten all the flowers in terms of great conferences this year, but does the Big Ten have something to say about that themselves? Obviously, not at SEC's level, but there are 11 teams right now in the Ken Palm top 40, two more teams in the 40s. This is
Yeah.
a stat conference as well. Even though like it doesn't have an Auburn, doesn't even have Tennessee or Florida, no top 10 teams, but everyone in this conference, maybe not Minnesota, but everyone else in this conference can beat you on a given night. Maybe even Minnesota. Dawson Garcia can probably beat some teams, but he
I
doesn't have
mean,
much help.
I'll give the Minnesota note right now. Like Dawson Garcia, yes, you have him. Mike Mitchell just coming back from injury, had 22 in the first half against Morgan State yesterday. So I'll just say that that duo could be something to watch. I'm not saying Minnesota will
Is
do
uh
anything.
is
No,
Tyler Cochran going to be back anytime soon? Do you know what's going
he
on with
was
him?
like he was like week to week since I want to say October and November. So I didn't even know at this point.
On
But
that like LJ Cryer day-to-day stuff where he just never
yeah,
plays.
yeah. I think what'll end up happening is he'll just redshirt. Like the backcourt, Minnesota. I wouldn't say they're deep enough, but they play enough guys to where I don't know if he's necessarily needed this year. With I don't know, not necessarily high expectations anywhere, but I think Mike Mitchell coming back, Minnesota can make it so there's a true 18 team league. Washington's the team I'd be more afraid of dropping out. Flip it to the
Right.
top though. I'll go UCLA to win the league. Um, you look through the stats there, guys. Nothing really pops. Like Tyler Bilodeau, leading scorer, 14 points a game. But I think there's just a lot of guys that really contribute to winning. Eric Daly Jr. has been big. Kobe
Hmm.
Johnson, both sides of the floor. And Sky Clark. I know you weren't too in on him at the
I'm
start of the
I'm
year, but
I'm in
I
on him now.
I really
He's
think
like
he's been very
he's
important.
impacting winning so much. Like against Gonzaga, he had like 10, 7, and 7 and was just like making plays all over the court. Like th Sky Clark's issue was not Sky Clark. That was Kenny Payne's bad
Yeah.
coaching. That's I've made my decision on that. Sky Clark is good. Um,
And then just like a couple more things that I think point towards UCLA winning the league. They've got the West Coast advantage at home. These teams have to make that big, long trip to play. Obviously, UCLA is going to have to go cross country every other week to play road games, but they also have the big win at Oregon already. So,
yes, UCLA as well might pick to win the conference. That win at Oregon was huge for just deciding for them to win the conference. Already got the big win out of the way on the road and also got the big win against Gonzaga. Not conference play, but this goes to show you what kind of a team this is. Elite defense, number one in the country in forcing turnovers. And yeah, Mick Cronin, I really, it really shows you how good of a coach he is as to when he was able to adapt and fix this team because last year he went all in on the international route. All those international guys were not that good at basketball, except for Baker Butzel, who's kind of balling out in Nebraska this year. But point aside, he went to the portal, hammered the portal. Bilodeau's been amazing. Eric Daly's been amazing. William Kyle, in his minutes has looked the part for sure. Kobe Johnson's been amazing. Um, yeah, Sky Clark and yeah, Sebastian Mack, Dylan Andrews have been serviceable role pieces. And yeah, like you said, no really like guys that are really like all American caliber really pop out to you. Bilodeau has been very good, but this is a team with a lot of guys that can beat you on both ends, specifically defense, but they have the guys in offense, and yeah, very different team than the team that lost to New Mexico in early November, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll move on to my sleeper. I went with Michigan. Again, maybe a team that isn't necessarily a sleeper. They're 11th in the country in Ken Palm. I guess they are Ken Palm's highest ranked team right now, but I don't know. I don't think they've gotten too
Yeah,
much
I would agree.
respect.
Beating Purdue Fort Wayne by like 30 and Western Kentucky by 50 like definitely kind of helped. Like getting wins by like a million over teams that like aren't like that bad really helps the metrics.
Okay, yeah, they went from 25 to 11 with those two wins. That would be where the jump comes from, I guess.
Hmm.
But yeah, Trey Donaldson has been great. I wasn't really big on him coming over from Auburn, but he's been important in the backcourt. And then Danny Wolf has just been matchup nightmare, difference maker offensively for Michigan. So I think that's kind of their wild cards that can push them to the top.
Yes, my sleeper to win went with Maryland, another team that's very high up in Ken Palm. They did take a little bit of a drop, beating Maryland Eastern Shore by only 15, but they are a team that has pretty much killed every other team they played. So not too concerned about a game that was pretty much over half. Teams haven't been practicing a ton over the break and stuff. But yeah, Maryland, they've been really good this year. Derek Queen has for sure been one of the best freshmen in the country, one of the best players in the country. Forget about being one of the best freshmen. Jacoby Gillespie has been better than expected for sure. I mean, he's also been one of the best players in the country. Julian Reese has played his role good next to Queen in the front court. And yeah, the pieces are kind of fading together. They're playing kind of well all over the court. Like they don't really have a huge weakness right now.
Yeah, I think Gillespie and Queen coming in and having this big of impacts already has obviously shown. I think they've won every game they're supposed to, lost every game they're supposed to, but yeah, it's the way they've looked in those big wins.
Yes.
Like you
They've
talked
looked
about,
apart in the losses too, though.
yeah, close losses to Marquette at home, at Purdue, and then blowing the doors off Ohio State, Syracuse. So
Yes. Yes. Very good team. Selton McGill also been a huge piece. Was terrible when he was at K-State, the high major level, but really been shooting the ball well this year. Huge piece if they're gonna continue that success. But who is your overachiever in conference play?
I've got two overachievers, so I was gonna let you go first, just in case I didn't take one of them,
All
and
right.
then I
Well,
was
I,
gonna
I
go
have I have
first.
Iowa. I've been
Okay.
kind of on the Iowa train all off season. Still have not seen anything to take me off that. Kind of at the bottom half of the conference in terms of Ken Palm. But as I said, they're like the 12th best team in Ken Palm. And base if you were to take the Ken Palm field as the tournament, they would still be like a 10 or 11 seed at 43rd in the country. So yeah, Owen Freeman has lived up to the hype. Peyton Sanford's been a so-so, had some bad shooting games, but been playing well lately. And yeah, I think this team, I haven't seen anything to stop my hype of them necessarily.
Yeah, I'll go. My two teams were Penn State and Nebraska. I couldn't really decide between the two. Um, I like both of them a lot. They both kind of have the alpha guy that will lead them. Ace Baldwin for Penn State, Bryce Williams for Nebraska. There's going to be a lot of weight on those two guys' shoulders, but I don't know. Ace Baldwin's just a winner. Like even on bad teams, he's been a winner. They outplayed expectations last year. Weren't supposed to be that good this year. I was still on them, and I think they've proved me right so far. Top 40 in Ken Palm. So I'm all in on Ace Baldwin and Penn State, and then I've really come around to Nebraska, especially
Mhm.
Diamond Head Classic, kind of a chance to have the spotlight on Nebraska. Bryce Williams played really well there. I think
Yes.
I think they're both tournament teams.
Yes. I do have Penn State as my underachiever. I did pick them last preseason in conference play. I would not have them last right now, but I still don't think they're that talented compared to teams around them. Like you said, Ace Baldwin is a winner, but at some point, do they like see a little bit of regression? Like, I don't know. Is Yannick Code Niederhauser really this good? Maybe, but I don't
I
know.
mean, they were struggling with 10 at halftime yesterday, and he's like the guy that made the difference in that one, I feel like. I don't know.
That's
I was
true.
big on him. He averaged what, seven and
He
five
has
at
been
Northern
really good this
Illinois,
year.
and yeah,
He has been really good this year, but I feel like at some point there's just a little bit less talent, but at the same time, I don't really feel comfortable picking anyone to,
yeah,
I mean, maybe Indiana, I guess, but like everyone already hates on them, so it's not as fun now. Everyone everyone's been coming around to the realization that they're just like not good, and that Mike Woodson just like horribly constructed a roster, as everyone said preseason, but it's playing out exactly how you would have expected. So
yeah. I mean, I don't want to be the guy to continue to hate on Indiana, but I really want to be the guy to continue to hate on Indiana. They're my underachiever. Still
yeah,
can't shoot.
that's yeah,
Um, I think there's off the court issues now too. This Omar Ballo thing the night before the Winthrop
yeah.
game the other day. I don't know if that continues or anything, but I think it could go south pretty fast. I don't like this team, and there's definitely reason for them to be bottom five, bottom four, bottom three in the league
Yes,
if things
I
keep
would
not
be
turning out.
surprised if I would be surprised if Mike Woodson's back next year. I think
Yeah,
there's a better
I would
chance
agree.
that he's gone and he's back.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's just tough. It's a tough. Yeah, yeah, it's going how you would have reasonably expected given his some of his decisions, honestly. But moving on to the Big 12, consistently been the best conference, but right now is sitting as the third best, but not much they can really do considering who the top two conferences are. There has been some disappointment within some of the teams in the Big 12. Definitely adding some more teams, kind of expanding the bottom of the conference this year. But who is your winner of the Big 12?
I went with Houston. Didn't get the big ones in non-conference play. Close losses to Auburn, overtime losses to Alabama, San Diego State. But I mean, they're still really loved by the metrics. Fourth in KenPom at 8-3, and they're just so elite defensively, and they make they make you play their game every night. And I think that's gonna be the reason they get the job done. I think the key will be LJ Cryer needs to be more assertive, needs to show up in the big games. Shot he barely shot the ball against Auburn, didn't shoot it well against Alabama. I forget what he did against San Diego State, but just hasn't really been the guy with Jamal Shed out the door this year.
Yes, I went with Iowa State here. Their offense has been elite this year. Not definitely not what I was expecting. Definitely could have seen some reasonable improvement given their roster, but their offense right now is third in the country. Their defense is only 14th. Maybe there's some regression coming with the offense, but there's probably some positive coming with the defense as well. Definitely think he'd still be among the top defense in the country conversation when it comes to the end of the year. Probably some of it being a little bit lower is because you're just scoring so many points that they can maybe afford to give up a few many. But yes, their only losses to Auburn in the game that they were way up in that one point. Um, don't have any. I mean, they did beat Marquette at home. Definitely don't have like a huge staple one. Maybe you call that, but away from home. But yeah, this offense just been elite. Keyshawn Gilbert's really broken out even more than he did last year. Curtis Jones is like not missed a shot hardly. Their front court transfers, Joshua Jefferson in particular, but Deshaun Jackson has also lived up and done more. With his size, has translated very well back up to the power conference level. And yeah, there's really not much you can knock on this team right now.
Yeah, I think Houston and Iowa State are my clear cut top two in this league.
Yes,
And
I would agree with that. Definitely not counting out Houston either. They're gonna win those big games eventually. Still very good in the metrics. Still gonna kill you on defense. My sleeper to win the conference though is Texas Tech. I don't know if that's who yours is.
yep,
I know you are
yeah,
big on them. Um, they are yet to really beat anyone, but once JT Toppin gets healthy, which I don't for sure know the status of that stuff. Him and Darian Williams is one of the most elite duos in the country. Darian Williams is currently in the top 10 in Ken Palm Player of the Year. JT Toppin was before he was hurt. Those two are elite. The metrics like them. Chance McMillan's been shooting the ball, scoring the ball at a very efficient level. And yeah, once Topping gets healthy, this is going to be like a borderline top 10 team in the country, in my opinion. Can't really put them there before they beat anyone, but they'll get their opportunity to play some good teams in conference play, and hopefully hope to see Toppin back on the court as soon as possible.
yeah. I my notes right here were most underrated team in the country, question mark, question mark. I think it's for good reason. The two games they played, they lost to St. Joe's and Texas
A&M.
A&M. A&M, they didn't have JT Toppin, we just talked about. And I just went and checked up on it. And he's supposed to make his return from injury tomorrow against UCF,
That would be ideal.
New Year's Eve. So coming back right in time, I think all signs point to this team being very elite. Ken Palm top 15, and that's without really having any good performances against good teams. So yeah, I still think they're a Final Four team. If everything comes together, JT Toppin gets healthy, stays healthy.
Definitely could see it when they're both healthy. One of the best duos in the country, if not the best. It's up there for sure. Who is your overachiever though?
I went with another team that had a big injury in the month of December. I went with BYU. Yegor Demon is supposed to return tomorrow against Arizona State. He's kind of the guy that puts everything together, very balanced attack. Um, Surrounding him, he's do it all point forward, basically. I think him coming back is going to be big. And yeah, I'm in on what Kevin Young has done so far, even with a no real marquee showings in non-conference play.
Yes, I went with BYU as well. And yeah, you mentioned NBA talent. Yegor Demon, a lottery pick right now, cannon catching, has also shown some flashes, five-star freshman. And yeah, just a really nice team built around those guys. Hussein Traore, Dawson Baker has been really effective coming off a season where he was pretty much injured all of last year. Richie Saunders, another guy that missed just one game, actually two. He only played 1 minute versus Wyoming, but he is also projected to be back in their next game. Got some, yeah, him, Trevin Nell, give some shooting. Taba Kate is a guy I really gives him a good rotation. Him and Traore. Even Dallin Hall is a guy who was hurt a little bit at the beginning of the years, only going to play better from here on out. And yeah, Kevin Young, jury's still kind of out on him. We'll see, but
Yeah,
there's
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 only
some
one way
there's
to
some
find
nice
out.
talent, some nice fit on this team. I think it's definitely a team that will start to inch up as conference play continues.
I for my underachiever, I went with a team. You might have them as well, I guess. I don't know, but I went with Kansas. Um, there's a lot of other good teams, and like Texas Tech, I talked about. I think Arizona, Baylor could start to figure things out. Cincinnati's still good. I think Kansas could kind of fall again. They struggled in conference play last year, just very stagnant at times. You have Dwan Harris, KJ Adams, Hunter Dickinson, not really threats from outside the arc. Can't really space the floor. Dickinson probably more than the other two, but I don't know. It's just been a weird fit. AJ Storr hasn't really been what he's supposed to be yet. Zeke Mayo and David Coit have taken turns being half decent players. But
Yes. For my underachiever, I went with another team that I was not super high in preseason. That's Arizona State. They have been really impressive so far, but I feel like at some point they're just gonna start dropping some games. Like I don't really trust a Bobby Hurley team to like be the most consistent in conference play, especially with some really young guys. Their two reclass freshmen, Josan Sandon and Jaden Caintons, have been super impressive so far, but I'm not sure that I really trust him to keep it up. We'll see. Not a fit I love, and the metrics don't really love him as well as maybe their resume, which can often indicate that they're going to lose some of these games. And
Yeah.
yes, open up conference play BYU tomorrow. That will be a real test. With BYU fully healthy, I think Arizona State will start to drop, but yeah, definitely deserve a shout out for what they've done so far. But I'm not sold on it being sustainable.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to fade Bobby Hurley. I'll say that.
Yes. Moving to the Big East, have the last two champions both coming from UConn. Do you have them winning the conference this year?
I do not. I went with Marquette. Cam Jones has been the best player in the conference. Not the best player in the country, maybe the best guard in the country. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah, he's just been on a different level this year, even with Tyler Kolek gone. Has taken over some of the point guard duties, and then the other guys in the backcourt, Stevie Mitchell, Chase Ross, have been really big on both sides of the ball, especially in their biggest games. So I really like what Marquette has.
Yes, I as well picked Marquette to win the conference. Was kind of debating between them and UConn, but UConn's defense kind of is what's holding me back from being super butted in at them in the moment, even though I am back to the realization they are a very good team. But yes, defense has been a struggle this year, and until they fix that, I'm not really sold on them at the same level. But yes, Marquette, Cam Jones, best guard in the country, maybe second best player in the country, has been doing everything, has taken the Tyler Kolek role in terms of passing, but has still been scoring at the same elite rate that he's been doing. Yeah, he has just been really dominant. And yeah, their glue pieces have been really nice. Chase Ross, Stevie Mitchell, um, Ben Gold definitely shown some flashes here and there. And yeah, like I kind of doubted him preseason, but if I knew Cam Jones was going to be this good and this much of a point guard while still being the same scorer, I probably wouldn't have doubted him as much.
Yeah, I'll agree there. And then I'll just say like the front court, Ben Gold, David Joplin, maybe a bit more consistency. That's what you would like
Yeah,
to see out of
yes.
them. But yeah, again, it's not like UConn's front court is totally figured out, especially at the 5 spot. Obviously, Alex Caravan's
Hmm.
elite at the 4, but um, moving to my sleeper, uh, I've got St. John's, maybe the
Yeah.
best big in the league with Zuby Ejiofor. RJ Lewis has been fantastic so far. He's been the guy that has made them so good. Kadari Richmond and Davon Smith haven't really been what people thought, especially Kadari. If those two can start to click, I think they might turn into the favorite to win the league. I think they're right on the same pedestal as Marquette and UConn.
Yes, I have St. John's as well. Kind of hard to pick a sleeper when there's only like three teams I could even like really see having a shot at winning it. But I mean, I feel like it'd be more they're more of a sleeper than UConn because UConn has
Yeah,
won the past two national titles. But yes, I also have St. John's, obviously very well coached with Rick Pitino, but rosters fit together, and yeah, RJ Lewis has really been that dominant guy this year. Edgy Four is really broken out with no Joel Soriano anymore, so yeah. Also, my sleeper, my overachiever, kind of went with two here as well. I don't know if you only had one, you could go.
yeah. I'll go first then. Rocking the jersey today, Georgetown. Um, That's my overachiever. They've somewhat already overachieved in non-conference play. I think you could say that. Up to 67 in Ken Palm, probably higher than either of us thought they would get this year. But
Yes.
Thomas Sorber's really
He is
performed.
the reason for that.
Yeah, and then you look in the backcourt, Jay Epps, Malik Mack have been efficient, which is kind of a surprise to me. I mean, they both came in kind of efficient, but keeping them both efficient is pretty big. And then Micah Peavy, I think he was our favorite piece heading into the year, but I just like how he fits as a glue guy. And then
Yes.
yeah, obviously Thomas Sorber, he's been the difference maker for this
Yeah.
team.
So Sober has been outstanding. Definitely someone we were both in on in general, but I don't think any of us expected him to be playing at like an all conference level this soon. And yeah, he has just been so elite, kind of everywhere on the court, elite defensively, but also really getting his buckets down low, really being, yeah, really just making an impact everywhere on the courts. Um, yeah, as I mentioned, I went two. I went with Xavier and Butler, both teams that have struggled a little bit, but the talent and past stuff is there to reasonably suggest they could be in for a positive jump. Xavier team are both really in on. They've struggled, but I mean, I guess we'll see if Fremantle like plays it all the rest of this year. But I think I've still seen like enough flashes from the pieces to suggest that they're gonna be
Yeah,
fine.
and I think Ryan Conwell's kind of been what we expected. It's just getting everything together. Obviously, injuries even before the season kind of derailed our hype when Lucina Traore went down and now
Yes.
Fremantle getting hurt.
Yes.
It'll be interesting. I would love for this Xavier team to succeed, but I'm just kind of tempering everything down with the injuries.
Yes. And then Butler, they've had some rough losses. They've had some rough games, but I think they still have some really, really good players. Jamil Tilford, Pierre Brooks haven't really been bad this year. I think those wins will start coming. A lot of their losses have been close. Um, I mean, they barely lost to UConn, only lost to Marquette by 10 on the road. The bye game losses aren't bad. Although North Dakota State's like a really good team, legitimately. Austin P loss is tough though. But yeah, at the same time, they have beaten SMU, they have beaten Mississippi State, they beat Northwestern Neutral. Still a team that we've seen what they can do. So I'm not like completely selling them to kind of get back and be a little bit more competitive than some of their games have shown.
Yeah, I think you talk those two bye losses probably sealed their fate when you talk about
Yeah.
trying to make the tournament, but I do still think they could push for fifth or sixth in the league, depending on how everything
Yes.
pans out. Underachiever, um, they're at the bottom of the league right now, Seton Hall. I think it could get worse. If if it's allowed to get worse, there's really no offense. Um,
Yeah,
they're ranked
it's
300th offensively in KenPom.
it's
I like, is it unrealistic to say they go 0-20? They already chalked up a home loss to Georgetown. Uh,
Mm,
they're favored to lose,
I think
or
they'll
they're
beat.
favored to lose every game.
They'll win at least one.
If they don't come away with a win against DePaul at home on January 8th, like, I think it's an uphill battle. But I don't know. I trust Shaw, but I think there's a chance that 120 is in the picture.
We'll see. It has not been good so far, which could have been reasonably expected considering how little NIL they reportedly have and kind of shot out with the relative quality of the transfers. But my underachiever here is Providence. They haven't not been playing great lately outside of the BYU win at home about a month ago. Don't think Kim English is that good of a coach. Not sold in the roster. We'll see how much Bryce Hopkins even plays this year. Played a few games and then has missed the last two. It's kind of a guessing game on him to see if he'll ever actually play or not. As I remember when he was supposed to play his first game, he just like didn't, and then like played the game after that or something. So we'll see. Jaden Pierre's been really good actually, but a lot of their guys have disappointed, and I'm not convinced that they'll really get better. So yeah,
Yeah, the one thing that held me back putting Providence at the underachiever is their home court advantage is still probably
yeah,
the best in the league, I would say. I don't know if
yeah. I
that's
mean,
too
just
far,
yeah. No, I
but
agree. I agree.
yeah, so I don't know. That was like kind of my one thing holding me back. Like maybe they'll sneak enough wins at home, but yeah, like you said, they really haven't shown much outside of that home win over BYU. So,
Yes. Moving to ACC, I assume we both have Duke winning.
yeah, it's hard to
That's
pick against
kind of a
Duke.
given at this point,
Yeah.
but we'll see. They seem to like never actually win the regular season, but I hope they better win it this year.
Yeah, it was like I want to say it was close to a 15-year streak when they were under Coach K until they won it. I think his final year in 2022. Or
Yes,
was that
they won it
Shire's
that year.
first?
No doubt.
Okay, yeah, that was his last, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, before then it had been 2010 they had shared the title.
yeah, but they're gonna win it this year. Best defense in the country right now. Cooper Flag has been elite on defense, and yeah, they. I mean, yeah, they're gonna win. I
Yeah.
really don't see a scenario where they don't.
Yeah, we could spend 5 minutes talking about Duke, but I feel like they get their flowers enough. So I'll move
Yes.
to my sleeper where there's uh, there's probably three teams that can win this league in my eyes, Duke being one of them. Um, and one of the other two, I think, is Clemson. So probably not like a sleeper. They're certified top 3 or 4 team in the league, but I think they'd have a chance to win it. Chase Hunter, Ian Shefflin have both been elite so far. Jaden Zachary's been really impressive as well. Transfer in from Boston College. He's outperformed my expectations. It's a good core there. Victor Locken has been a different player than PJ Hall, but he's been serviceable as a big.
Yes. For my sleeper to win, not one of the teams you mentioned, I'm going with SMU. They have been playing some good basketball lately. They already got two conference wins. Definitely not against some of the top teams, but beat Boston College by like 30 on the road. That might mean something. At least it shows that they can really enforce like that. But yeah, like they're a team that has a lot of guys that can beat you. Obviously kind of going with some high volume guards with Boopy Miller and Chuck Harris, but they have a lot of really solid guys and like BJ Edwards, Matt Cross, Kario Quendo, Smetyi Toglu, a lot of guys that can beat you any given night. And yeah, they've been playing some really good basketball lately. Their next game is at home versus Duke. That will be a big one. I still think it's easily Duke's conference, but SMU has quietly been very good to last month, and hopefully at some point people start to pick up on it.
Yeah, and I will say, going off your point, I didn't pick SMU to win the league, but I do see it, and the schedule plays a role as well. Only play Duke once at home, only play Clemson once at home, only play Pitt once at home,
I
only play
mean,
UNC once, but it's
yes.
away.
I
So
mean, according to Ken Palm, after they play Duke at home, they're projected to lose that. They're projected to lose at North Carolina. They're not going to be the underdog in any game after that.
yeah,
That's
there's
pretty
plenty of one,
notable.
2, 3 point favorites, but yeah, that's actually very interesting looking at that
Yes,
right now.
yes. Obviously, probably not going to go whatever, 18-2, but they,
They are projected to finish with a better record than North Carolina by Ken Pom right now.
I could see it. I don't really like North Carolina. Did not have them as my underachiever, I don't think, but yeah. Don't love them.
Yeah.
Overachiever, it's Cal. Again, like every team in the league, like a lot of these teams are kind of bad, but kind of liked some of their pieces. I like Mark Matson. I'd rather have them as my overachiever than like any other team around them. So
I think that's
yeah,
fair.
this conference sucks. Like,
Yeah, I think everybody can be an overachiever, everybody can be an underachiever just because teams have to win.
yeah.
Somebody's got to win a lot of games, but
So
teams are also going to lose a lot of bad games. So,
there are one, two, three, four, five, seven teams outside the top 100 in Ken Palm, and like five from 80 to 100.
yeah.
Four, but yeah.
My overachiever, I went with Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
Damon
I
Stoudemire's
yeah.
first year last year, they showed up against the big teams, beat Clemson, UNC, and Duke. So like I don't know, they can steal a couple more games again this year. I like the big four that they have: Lance Terry, Ryan Dongo, and then Javion McCollum, Nathan George, and I don't know. Hopefully it starts to click. I was a bit higher on them preseason, but I still think they can make some
Yes.
noise in the ACC.
Yes, I'd agree with that. Definitely a lot of wins to be had. My underachiever is Pitt. I mean, I don't dislike this Pitt team, but like there's really only like two or three teams you could even pick from for underachievers. Because everyone else is just like so bad at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I made a selection for my underachiever. I don't know if I like it, but yeah. Do you have anything more on Pitt, or I can reveal
I
it?
mean, like I feel like they've just been a little bit better than expected, and maybe some regression is coming there.
I think it's
I
fair.
don't like hate them. Like I think they'll regress a little bit, but like I think they'll still be a tournament team. But I I probably trust North Carolina a little bit more with like RJ Davis to be better, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really like anyone in this conference. I don't really like this conference at all.
My underachiever, I went with Syracuse. Their only
Have
win
they not
inside the KenPom top 200 is Cornell. Like they're already underachieving, obviously, but
have they
like
not underachieved enough so far?
I don't know. JJ Starling's been out, kind of like returned questionable. Is he going to be efficient when he comes back? I think it was something with his hand or arm. Um, I don't know. It's just yeah. I don't really like the team. Adrian Autry's never showed me anything in the year and a half so far to make me like trust him a lot. So I don't know. Maybe the sky falls there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. This is a tough conference, but Duke is very good. They should run through it.
Yeah,
Realistically,
like
yeah.
I get past Duke, Clemson, Pitt, UNC. Like I like those four. SMU, Notre Dame,
SMU
Stanford,
deserves to be in
Louisville
that
are kind of
bunch.
like flirty fun. I don't know. I'm not big
Healthy
on
Louisville would
SMU,
have
but
been way more fun.
yeah, I still think Louisville would be the second best team in the conference, fully
Healthy
healthy.
for sure, for sure. If they were healthy, if they had Keshawn Pryor, Corin Johnson, Abubakar Traore, who I think is going to be back at some point. Um, yeah, he
Yeah.
played 5 minutes the last game, but if they would have had fully healthy team, they would have for sure been the second best team in the conference at this point, in my opinion at least. And they were showing that before the injuries happened, but this conference is so bad it'll still be relatively towards the top. Um, but yeah, I'm not that they're a terrible team now, but what could have been. Although Pryor will be able to come back either way, even if he doesn't get a medical redshirt, which he would. So
Yeah.
with the JUCO stuff, so yeah, Javon Hadley can also come back. So, but yeah, it's still not
Makes
what
it
it
a
could
little
have
more
been.
fun. You get a couple guys back off the red shirts too.
Yes. Yes. So they're already saving up a team for next season. Got
Yeah.
Corin Johnson, Ali Khalifa, Kobe Rogers, both coming back. They already have their lineup. Them and Gonzaga. Gonzaga has like not to get too off topic here because we're going to talk about them in a
Yeah.
minute, but they have like Braden Smith, Jalen Warley. Um, Steel Venters, like they're just saving up guys for next year. Next year behind the
Yeah.
scenes as well. But yeah, before we talk about Gonzaga's conference to WCC, we're going to talk about Mountain West. Can probably run through these mid-major conferences a little bit quicker, but I have San Diego State winning the Mountain West. They did lose at home to Utah State, but all in all, I think San Diego State's still going to end up being the best team, most proven, traditionally very good defensive team, and this year they are as well. Yeah, and definitely trust them in this year's team, probably more than anyone else. Again, despite losing the other day.
I have to go with Utah State. One, play devil's advocate. Two, they just won at Viejas Arena. That's gonna prove to be
That
a
is
big win
significant.
when
Yes.
we're in March. The last two games, these teams had what 14. They're sitting like 14-6 or something like that in conference play. I guess I don't know if it's an 18 or a 20 game league, but yeah, they're
Yes.
gonna be right there. That win, I think, is gonna be the difference maker. Um, but yeah, I think those are the two clear cut teams. Maybe not clear cut, but the two best teams in the league right now: Utah State and San Diego State.
Yes. My sleeper to win the conference is Boise State. They always turn up in conference play, even despite a relatively underwhelming non-con, even though they did get some decently significant wins. I think they'll start to just rattle off games, even though they did have a scare at San Jose State the other day. They just like flip a switch when it comes to conference play. I could even have projected them to win, but going with San Diego State barely. But yeah, Boise State is going to start to rattle off some wins now.
Yeah, I kind of took it the same way as you. Like my winner, I've been more like, all right, who do I think is the best team in this league? And I use my sleeper pick to pick the team maybe I want to win the league a little more. My sleeper Mountain West, I went New Mexico. Donovan Dent has just been elite all year.
Hmm.
I forget what his stat line was the other day. I could pull it up quick right now, but he's been showing up for New Mexico
Yes.
all year long. 19 points a game, 7 assists a game. Yeah, he had 45-4. The home win against VCU. They just went on the road, beat Colorado State. So yeah, I'm in on what Donovan Dent can do for this team, and I'm hopeful the league sends four to the tournament, being the four we've just talked about.
Yes.
San
Not
Diego
not going to
State,
be
Utah State,
another
Boise, New Mexico.
not going to be another six-bit conference, unfortunately. But yes, still some pretty good teams at the top. Few of those teams, like you mentioned, could go either way, but hopefully they're able to get the wins they need. But my overachiever in conference is going to be Wyoming. Went a little bit outside of the top teams, but I mean they just beat Nevada at home. They played a really close game with Utah State on the road, and mentioned name earlier, but Obi Agbim coming up from D2 level, Fort Lewis. Second straight Fort Lewis guy to commit to Wyoming. Had a Quellcott last year, really good score, but Agbim's a little bit more versatile, more of a true point guard, but can also really put up some big scoring numbers as well. Been super efficient this year. Hit some big time threes down the stretch to beat Nevada. Was really good in the close loss at Utah State as well, dishing out 10 assists and one turnover in that game. And yeah, Sonny Wicks is a coach I definitely like. Some of the rest of the roster is a little weird, like Jordan Nesbitt, Dante Allen, just some like really weird names in general. Like it's like kind of an assortment, but they've been playing some
Yeah.
good basketball lately.
I went with another team kind of outside of the box with San Jose State. They always give teams tough games in the Mountain West at home. Last year, choked countless opportunities. Already did that once this year, losing a tight one to Boise State the other day. But I still have liked what I've seen from them, um, progression wise. They started the year very rough, but have stepped up recently. So
Yes. 0-2 in conference play, but both losses are very, very close games. Lost at New Mexico by 6, and then the recent Boise game by 2 at home. Definitely showed they can stick with those teams, and eventually I think some nodes will come through as wins. My underachiever though is Nevada. I kind of like this team. They've been underachieving, and it's kind of yeah, they're digging their own hole at this point.
Yeah, it's somewhat cheating, seeing as though they're already 0-2 in conference play, but I went the same route. Just lose 2 games. You can't lose if you want to really be a contender, which I thought they should have been considered a contender at the start of the season, and now they've really fallen
Yes.
off the pace.
Yes, not great. Definitely a team I think could still get back in the mix, but their losses are gonna be tough to overcome for sure. Um, Moving though to WCC, I have Gonzaga winning it. They're even though they've lost some close games to some very good teams in non-con, I think they're still gonna easily win the maybe not easily, but they're gonna win the conference.
Yeah, they will win the conference. I'm 100% sure about that. They've lost all these close games while having one of the best point guards in the country in Ryan Nembhard. Had the big free throw miss against UCLA, and then just a couple other games like weird decisions at late games. Sometimes it's been Mark Few, sometimes it's been Ryan Nembhard. But I think all in all, it's gonna get figured out. They'll squeeze a game at St. Mary's. They might probably go undefeated in West Coast Conference play. If I was gonna take undefeated or not, I
It's
think they
not gonna be
will.
easy. It's not gonna be easy.
No, especially with we'll talk about a handful of the teams coming up. I'm assuming, but I think the most important piece is Ryan Nembhard taking control late in games, and then Michael Ajayi these next 16, 18 games in conference play needs to find himself. He hasn't been what he
Yes,
could be.
that's gonna be big. Yes, Ajayi's been underwhelming, but definitely still he's shown enough over his career, especially at the combine to know that he'll be a very good player. But
I'm
yes,
still
need
I'm still
to
penciling them into the Sweet 16.
actually see that. Yes, absolutely. My sleeper to win, I guess, is St. Mary's. Like they won it last year. If anyone not Gonzaga is gonna win it, it's probably gonna be St. Mary's. They tied it 2 years ago, I believe. So like they've been up there as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun teams, but there's only 2 teams that can win this league, and that's Gonzaga and St. Mary's, the two that have always done it.
Yes. Yes, I mean if it isn't Gonzaga, probably gonna be St. Mary's. Although there are some other fun teams, but we'll see. My overachiever though is Santa Clara. I think this is a team that probably lost a few games that they should have won in non-conference play, but I think this is a very good team. Pretty good roster all around. Think they could definitely win some big games in conference play. If they can really get Carlos Stewart rolling, Adam Alpha Ball has been another guy that maybe hasn't quite been what you thought he might have been, but has been playing really good the last few games. Um, Elijah Mahi has missed the last 2 games. Really highly regarded JUCO guy, but has been playing really good this year. Yeah, it's a lot of really good players in this team.
Yeah, a quick name I wanted to highlight before we totally forget about St. Mary's was Paulus Morauskas,
Yes.
transferring from I want to say Arizona.
Yeah.
As long as I'm yeah,
It's
he's been fantastic this far. I think he can really be a difference maker if St. Mary's was going to win the league. But then back to my overachiever, I went with Oregon State. Um, I hadn't really seen them play until the Diamond Head Classic, and I was impressed. I really like what Wayne Tinkle has with this team. He kind of fit the pieces, and they fit a lot better than what I thought. DeMarco Minor, I really like him as a point guard. Rata and Fala have been pretty solid bigs, and then you've got guys on the wing like Josiah Lake who just make the winning plays, kind of go unnoticed on the stat sheet. But I think that's a team that
yes.
can steal a couple games in conference play.
Yes. Definitely overachieved to this point. Um, yeah. Two other guys, Nate Kings and Lataris Lelevicius, they have been really good. Both in their first-ish year with the program. Kings was there last year, but he was hurt. Levis, yeah, whatever. He's really good.
Yeah, him.
Lithuanian guy. He can hoop. But yeah, my underachiever is Washington State, mostly because Cedric Howard is not gonna play another game for them this year. Yeah, that's pretty much the reasoning for that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. They also haven't maybe performed how I would have thought, or haven't really exceeded anything in non-conference play. My underachiever, though, I went with your overachiever. I went with Santa Clara. Just kind of piggybacking off the struggles in non-con. They've been pretty inconsistent. Blew a lead in that home loss to Stanford. They've picked it up. They've won 6 straight, including a win over Bradley and at McNeese. But overall, I don't know. I still haven't totally liked what I've seen, but it's going to be very tough 3 through 6, 3 through 7. Really figure out what happens in this league.
Yes. Yes. Very good WCC. The additions, temporary additions of Oregon State and Washington State have been huge. Going to be a fun conference this year for sure. But moving from coast to coast to the A10, I have Dayton winning the A10. Think they've definitely been the best team so far. Maybe not by a huge margin, but enough for me to comfortably have them first heading into conference season.
Yeah, well, I know they performed much better than VCU in non-conference play.
Mm,
Impressive showing in Maui. So it was between those two for me, but I don't think I can go against Dayton right now.
yes. My sleeper to win the conference, it's gonna be St. Joe's. They have the talent to do it. Are they going to? No, they'll lose to. Let's see, what game are they gonna lose? They're gonna lose to UMass at home tomorrow because that's kind of what they do. But they have talent. Like they beat Texas Tech. They could win the league. Like if things click. Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, I'm with it. I'm with it, but I went uh for my sleeper to win the league. I went with Loyola Chicago. They've been really beat up. Looked really bad last week. I know, but Jaden Dawson I think is going to return. They've lost a couple guys for the year. Um, Justin Moore being one of them. But Jalen Quinn's been getting more and more comfortable. I think if he can fully take that point guard role, and then I just trust Drew Valentine to win games that he might not be supposed to win. Yeah, it's tough to find a sleeper in this league. I really like Dayton and VCU.
Yes. Yeah, I think those teams are definitely yeah. If Loyola didn't wasn't so injured, I would definitely consider them, but not too in on them after their Diamond performance. Mostly again, more due to injuries, but my overachiever is St. Bonaventure. Been really good so far. Um, and yeah, I don't really think that'll change. I think they've already exceeded expectations, but I mean, yeah, I expect them to keep going, honestly. The Woj effect is working.
Yeah, my overachiever, I went with St. Joe's. Maybe hard to have them overachieving, but not be the sleeper. I don't kind of weird take by me, I guess. But yeah, you talked about it. A lot of talent on this team. I really hope Billy Lang doesn't mess this up. I just want
He
them to have
will,
a
he
chance
will,
going
he
in.
will.
A top 4 finish, then you only got to win 3 games to go to the big dance. I think it'd be a very fun team to see in March. But
Yeah. My underachiever is George Washington. I feel like there's not like huge like underachiever candidates. So I mean. They're 11-2, but played the second worst strength of schedule. It was the worst other day. Yeah, at some point they're just gonna. I mean, like last year they were also 11-2, and lost like 11 games in a row. So
Did you see
like,
Jeff Goodman like say um, Chris Caputo should be a name floated around for the
yeah,
Miami job?
that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, like he has the Miami, like he has like all the history and stuff, but like he can't even like win at all in A10. Like if they're good this year, maybe.
Yeah,
But like
just with
I
with the
don't think they're
connection.
gonna end up good this year. So
Yeah. My underachiever, I went with Rhode Island. Um, they've been really impressive this far, but I think it's maybe a slight step back to like seventh or eighth. They were 9-0, then played their first road game, lost in double overtime to Brown. So I don't know, maybe there's some road woes coming. They've only played the one road game thus far, but that's kind of the angle I was taking on it. But I do really like Sebastian Thomas, David Green. They've been awesome so far to start the year. So,
yes, Marcus Lawrence, another guy coming down from the high major level has been really good, but you could definitely see that most people did not probably think they were going to start out 11-1 and could be a little bit regression coming from that. Moving to the American, I'm picking Memphis to win. They should, but we'll see if there's any like collapses this year. I don't really think there will be, but like it's Memphis, so like
yeah, I just put Penny, please. You have to. Like this
yeah.
is the year.
I mean, yeah, he has to.
I don't know. The home loss to Arkansas State, like that's like your okay, maybe they didn't get up for this game. Does that point back to last year's struggles where they didn't get up for the games against Rice, Tulane, etc.? I don't know. I still think they're by far and away the best team in this league. So
Yes, I agree. Peter Haggerty has been really good. Tyrese Hunter has been shooting the ball at a level that we've never seen before. Um, yeah, their transfer class, Musa Cisse has been really good in his return to Memphis, and yeah, they've just all been playing really good. A lot of really good wins so far. Um, my sleeper to win, I guess, is North Texas. Like they really good defensive team, definitely could grind out some wins, but I mean I really don't see anyone besides Memphis winning, but very
yeah,
very tough team to play.
I went for my sleeper. I went with the preseason favorite. I went with UAB. Um, they've underperformed. They've been, you could say, bad to start
Yeah,
the year,
they've been bad. Their defense has
but
been horrible.
yeah, I don't know. I still think that the talent is there. Yaxel Endeborg, Buda Johnson, Christian Coleman, guys like that. Um, yeah, I don't know if things come together, they can figure it out. But realistically, it's probably Memphis or nobody. I do respect the North Texas pick as well.
Yes. My overachiever, Wichita State, kind of a team that had pretty solid non-con. And lost to Kansas City at home. Not great, but they did follow it up with a blowout win of Kansas State at home. Yeah, I mean, pretty solid roster. Got handful of different guys who can beat you. Handful of different contributors. I mean, I
Had
don't
a
know.
nice win over Friends University yesterday as
They
well.
did. They actually beat K-State by more than they beat Friends by.
Definitely something I would not have expected.
I don't know.
Um,
The way K-State's playing now, though, Friends like maybe could beat them, but that's for a different day.
yeah, I went overachiever Charlotte. I don't know. I just watched so much Diamond Head Classic. I like talking about these teams because they're fresh in my mind. I just watched them play two or three times. Um, I really like Nick Graves, really talented guard, good on both sides of the ball. I see the potential with them right now. They're what 11th out of 13. Ken Palm rank, but I don't know. There's some teams they could pass above them. I don't think
Hmm.
Tulane, East Carolina, Rice are all that good. Even Temple could have problems. So.
Yes. For my underachiever, I guess I had UAB. I don't know. Like, I guess maybe they've already done the underachieving, but like they're just
I
so disappointing. And like I kind of saw it coming, but I wanted to trust in them considering they were playing good at the end of last year. But Tyron Moore is just like non-existent this year. Transferring in, I thought he'd be really good. Greg Gordon, another transfer that hasn't even played in a while, but. Yeah, their defense is horrible. Even though that they ideally have the good defensive personnel. I'm all the way out on Nanny Kennedy at this point. He can get talent, but things have kind of gone off the rails since they lost Jelly Walker. Even though they still have some great talent for the conference.
yeah. Eric Gaines was another guy kind of holding them together last
Yeah,
year.
well, he was there. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess he was there last year, but like,
Yeah. And then I'll go to my underachiever. I went with Rice. Somehow have a big win over Arkansas State on a neutral floor. Lost to UNT Dallas. I don't even know what division they are. Are they D2?
no, they're probably NAI. I think. I'm
But
pretty
yeah,
sure they're NAIA, but
it
I don't know.
regardless a really bad loss. I don't know if that sets them on the right foot for conference play. I like Rob Lanier, but I don't know. I
Yeah,
think they're a team on the downward slope. They're projected to win like 8 games by Ken Palm, but I don't know.
yeah. We'll see. I don't really care enough about Rice to list him as an underachiever, honestly, but
Fair
they
enough.
definitely could fall off the cliff. Um, all right, do we want to go to our All-American teams now?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Finish off with 3 teams of All Americans.
All
So
right,
based on performances so far, right? How we did it?
I
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So, how do we want to do this? Well, we both have Janai Broom on our first team, I assume.
Yeah.
Cam Jones
Um,
probably another given.
yeah, yep.
All right. I feel like those are the two givens. Who else is on your first team?
Um, I'll go with maybe the guy you wouldn't have on it. I don't know. I went with Dylan Harper for Rutgers. Um, he's been fantastic. He's averaging 23, 24 points a game right now, I think. And yeah, he's the stat sheet is full and just a super talented player when you watch him play. So
Yes, I did have him third team. Rutgers being not that good is definitely holding me back from him being this high. But at the same time, one guy I did have up here is Eric Dixon. Has been scoring at will this whole season, despite the only thing you need to do to beat Villanova is just to stop him. Um, and pretty much no one can do that. So he has been amazing this season. Unfortunate that he's playing under Kyle Neptune and kind of like can't go anywhere, but
yeah,
he's been good enough.
again, yeah, another guy I gave credit to even without the team success. I had Dixon on my second team. Broom, Jones, Harper, and then another guy I had was Kashawn Gilbert. We kind of talked about this preseason, like there was a lot of buzz that he was going to be the guy for Iowa State,
Yes.
and he's really turned in to that guy. Taman Lipsey's kind of fallen into the shadow, and Gilbert's been fantastic. Iowa State's been a top 3 team in the country. So
Yes. Another guy I had is Cooper Flag. The offensive efficiency hasn't always been there, but he's literally does everything on the court. Can handle the ball, one of the best defensive players in the country. Yeah, really just does everything and is leading a very, very good Duke team. Um, and did you have him on your first team or?
yeah, so I had Dylan Harper, Cam Jones, Kashawn Gilbert, Cooper Flag, Janai Broom.
Then my final guy, maybe this is more of a prediction that he'll be there, but I went with Mark Sears. Definitely not a player that has quite lived up to expectations, you could say, but I feel like all in all, you look at his stats and he's been solid. Still shooting the ball relatively efficient, has really picked up as of lately, scored over 20 points in 4 of his last 5 games. So I think he's kind of starting to get on the right track after notably having a 0 point game against Illinois. But all in all, I think he's actually been pretty good this season. And I think he'll have some improvements. The shots will just start falling. And I think he's been good. Like, I don't think like he's looked any worse than he did last year to me.
Yeah, I think definitely based on the trajectory of the last few games, I think it's fair to put him there. Yeah, again, I kind of went with my 15 guys just like based on what we've seen so far. So I didn't include Mark Sears, but definitely a guy who could be up here as high as the first team by the end of the year. Starting off with my second team, obviously I had Eric Dixon, and then I went with another SEC point guard, Jeremiah Fears, kind of been the talk of the town, especially in December. The game-winning 4-point play against Michigan, really big at the battle for Atlantis. He's been very fun to watch. A reclass point guard. Nobody
Yes.
expected him to be this good. So
Reclass point guards are usually not good, but maybe like they're kind of rewriting the story. He's been really good. Dan Thomas Jr. was really good last year. Maybe reclass point guards are good again, but I also would not advise point guards to reclass. So we'll see. Fears, yeah, definitely someone that like kind of like people thought was going to be like kind of inefficient. Like he'll get buckets, but he'll be a shot chucker. And like he's kind of been a shot chucker, but it's kind of gone in. So there's nothing wrong with chucking if you're making them. So yes. But yeah, moving on to my second team. I had Gilbert as we mentioned. Different point guard I had is Braden Smith. I think this year he's really proven that he can be an elite player, regardless of if Zach Edey is there or not. Has the highest assist rate in the country. Really shown some scoring flashes as well, really shooting the ball well, and still still has a Purdue team that could kind of sneak up on some people. I think I almost picked him to win the Big Ten, but I don't think we should count out Purdue too much at this point, especially with Braden Smith.
yeah, I rock with that. I rock with Braden Smith as well. I think he had 34 last
He
night
was
against
he was good
Toledo.
last night. Toledo's
Yeah, I
defense is suspect, but he was getting buckets.
I had Braden Smith on my third team. A guy I had on my second team was Donovan Dent. Talked a bit about him when we covered the Mountain West. Um, New Mexico has kind of been what we expected so far. I don't know.
Yeah,
They have the
I
big
would
win over
agree.
UCLA, bad loss to New Mexico State, but I don't know. That's rich. That's life under Richard Pitino, and
Yes, it
Donovan
is.
Dent's very good. So
Yes. I had PJ Haggerty, different point guard on my second team. Really excels at getting the rim, getting the line. Shot the ball pretty well from three as well. I mean, someone who I was really in on preseason. Don't think I had him quite as an All-American. I don't remember if I did, but yes. Definitely a really good player and a huge reason for Memphis getting a ton of big wins so far.
yeah, I went with PJ Haggerty on my third team. Another guy on my second team, I went with Chaz Lanier for Tennessee. I thought he would come into Tennessee and be a scorer, but I don't. He's not been Dalton Connect, but he's been a
Mm.
very high level scorer for them, and they're the number one team in the country. So he's one
According to
of
A
two
people, according to the
volunteers.
A people, according to the A people.
Yes, yes. I don't clear cut top three in my eyes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I had Lanier third team. No, let's see. Do you have two more guys, or let's see.
I've got one final guy on my second
All
team.
right.
I've got. Are you done with your second team?
Now I still have two
Or
more. One of
all
my
right.
guys is
Yeah,
Walter
you go
Clayton
ahead.
Jr. Leading the undefeated Florida Gators. Hard to not put someone here. Clearly the leader of Florida. They've been winning. He has been very good. So yeah.
Yeah, I had Clayton on my third team, and then my final guy for my second team, I had Jeremiah Fears, Donovan Dent, Chaz Lanier, Eric Dixon, and Bennett Sturts. I chose one guy from every undefeated team, I guess, just because I feel like that's fair. They all kind of have a star. Um, yeah, Sturts has been amazing. Big game against Kansas State, hit the game winner there. Just kind of everything you could ask for in a point guard.
Hmm.
Coming up from the D2 level, he's exceeded everybody's expectations, I think.
Yes, I did not choose Sturts for any of my teams, but he was one of he definitely would have made the fourth team for me. Definitely a guy I was wrestling with not picking at the end. My last guy in the second team is Hunter Dickinson. I don't really want to put him here, but I mean he's been good. Like he's been scoring. He's been doing it efficiently. Don't really
Yeah,
like Kansas as but like he's been getting his own. He's made like two extremely like dirty plays this year, but
yeah, that's like it
he's been
was it was Malik Brown that he kicked in the head.
yeah, and then there was something recent. I forgot what it was exactly, but something that like could have been a flagrant two, but didn't. But that's besides the point. He's still been good enough, I think. Um, moving to third team though, let's see. I
Yeah,
have
I've
Lanier and
only got
Harper are the guys that we've talked about. Lanier, I think is
yeah,
like I think he's kind of got some regression coming for him. He doesn't do anything except shoot, which has just like been making all of them so far. At some
yeah,
point,
I could
especially
see
against
SEC.
SEC
Yeah,
defenses, they probably will like kind of stop going in to an extent. He's still been deserving of All-American honors to this point, though.
yeah. I've already listed three of my third team guys, or we've already talked about them: Braden Smith, Walter Clayton Jr., and PJ Haggerty. So if you've got
Yes.
three to list, I'll let you go
Yes,
first.
I have three. I'll go with Josh Hubbard for one of mine. Really elite scorer. Mississippi State has been really, really good this year, and he has essentially been the reason why, as most would have predicted. But I think he's probably outperformed expectations even. So yes, can really put
Yeah.
up some points.
I'll double dip with Tennessee. Zakai Ziegler, one of my favorite players in the country. Starting point guard on one of the elite teams in the country. I
Yeah.
think he's deserving of, if not third team, at least, yeah, honorable mention consideration. Been probably more important than Chaz Leonard. Doesn't have the scoring
Hmm.
numbers, but obviously
Yes.
is the leader there on defense and running the offense. So
I would agree with that. Different point guard I have is Jacoby Gillespie from Maryland. Was really wrestling with Maryland to put him or Queen. Almost put both of them, but ultimately just went with Gillespie here. Been really efficient, plays both ends of the floor. Kind of been everything you want and more. Like he was someone I was kind of in on because, as I mentioned, he does play both ends, which is somewhat kind of a question mark from up transfers. But yeah, he has been basically been doing what he did at Belmont and even been better. So
yeah, my final guy then. I've got Zakai Ziegler, Braden Smith, Walter Clayton Jr., PJ Haggerty, and Ian Shefflin for Clemson. I've watched quite a bit of Clemson so far. Have slightly exceeded expectations so far. I'd say Shefflin's averaging a
mhm.
double double, and yeah, he's just been really good, taking over some of the load from PJ Hall leaving, and him and Chase Hunter have been one of the best duos in the country in my eyes.
Yes, Clemson's definitely been a definitely overachieved a little bit so far. Got some big wins. My last guy is Graham Ike. I mean he's kind of been doing what you would have expected to. Obviously, as we mentioned earlier, Gonzaga's had some of those close losses, but he's still really been scoring down low, getting buckets. It's hard to
Yeah,
not at least give him strong consideration here,
yeah.
even though he's maybe not like as fun. Like,
Do you have any like honorable mention guys you haven't kind of already tossed out, or
let's see. Trying to think. 'Cause I mentioned I had Sturge right there, Queen. Um, I was low key thinking about like Daniel Blacho for like a minute, but he's averaging like 20 and has been like blocking everything. Um, Trying to think if there was any other guys I had like right there. I don't. Did
Because
you have
like,
any? You have any guys?
I mean, for me, it was kind of the guys we talked about: Mark Sears, Hunter Dickinson, Derek Queen, um, RJ Davis. Maybe I don't know. UNC's just been really underperforming. That I didn't think
Yeah,
he really deserved it. And then, yeah, Andrew Nemhard, Graham Ike, like the two Gonzaga guys, both could, neither could. I think right
Ryan
now I'd
Nemhard.
lean
Did you
neither.
say
Or
Andrew
Ryan
Nemhard?
Nemhard. Yeah, I definitely said Andrew Nemhard. Ryan Nemhard though, but yeah, I think those. I think Nemhard and Ike could both be on this list if Gonzaga
Yes.
runs the table.
We are talking about the
So
Texas Tech duo as well earlier in the podcast. Kind of wanted to throw like Darian Williams on here, but then like JT Toppin's maybe better when he's healthy, but he hasn't been healthy, so I just put neither of them on there. But if they're both healthy, they're both like right there. Toppin probably is on here if he's did miss a
yeah,
game.
I
So
guess yeah, if Toppin played more than what 6 games so far, I'd definitely be here. So
yeah. Um, but yeah, I didn't know what to do with Williams because of that. Like he's been really good lately, but he's like probably not even the best player on his team. So, but
yeah, I
he
think
was
that's
still
fair.
right there in consideration. Let me just look through some of the teams. Um, yeah, that's
I
that.
mean, maybe KJ at Illinois. That'd be like, I don't know, probably
Uh,
more towards fifth, sixth team All American, but
yeah, I agree.
lots of guys you could give flowers to this far.
Yeah, Bruce Thornton's been pretty good. Um, yeah, yeah, I think that about does it for all my guys that I had like really close at least.
Yeah.
Yep. And anything else? Anything else that we need to hit in the podcast before we release this?
I think we've got it all covered, at least some hot enough takes to look back on in a few months. Make sure
Yes. We'll see. We'll see
we
if
still
these
know what
hit.
we're talking about. Yeah.
We'll see. But hopefully we'll be able to get some more content cranking out. So like
Yeah,
we can.
I'm hoping to be more consistent here these next what 3 months of the season. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Then portal season. That's gonna be as always fun, but because the JUCO ruling maybe a little bit more fun kind of been the talk that there's not going to be that like huge pool of players since there's no more fifth years, but some fifth years have emerged. So yeah, but anyway, make sure to follow Hoop Scoop Media on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter/X, YouTube as well. A lot of content on those platforms coming out, especially in conference play. A reminder of that article on the website about every single Division One men's basketball player that can come back next year because of the NCAA waiver. Again, if that's not out by the time you're listening to this, just like refresh in like an hour and it'll probably be out. Yes, that list will be very helpful. Nice resource for everyone. I guess contact us, DM us if you think we missed anyone, but hopefully didn't. But I know looking over every single team's roster, there's probably someone who slipped through the cracks at some point, or maybe someone I put that I might have messed up on. But yeah, make sure to follow Luke at College Hoops Outlet on Instagram, CHO Talk Sports on Twitter, and not completely sure when the next podcast will be coming. Hopefully soon enough, but until whenever that podcast comes out, we will see you next time.